Thank you all for attending this session, this breakout. This is about hosting a fam trip, just to make sure you're in the right one. And we have Bruna Carincotte here to share all about fam trips. She's our Director of PR and Communications at RBFF. She has a long bio here, so just give me a minute. She's done a lot of work, so let me introduce her properly. She's a senior communications and public relations professional with outstanding media relations skills, gained over 20 years of a global career in the US, Latin America, and Europe, with 9 years of experience in conservation related to fishing and boating. Originally from Brazil, Bruna is fluent in Spanish, English, Portuguese, and has worked for hospitality international corporations and brands such as Encore Hotels in Latin America and Europe, and Marriott International in the US. Throughout her career, her PR and media relations skills have benefited relevant international social causes such as the independence of South Sudan and funds raised for communities in need in Africa and Asia through SOS Children's Village, USA. At RBFF, Bruna is responsible for achieving media hits in national outlets such as USA Today, the New York Times, Nightly News with Lester Holt, Good Morning America, CNN, CNN_, the Oprah Magazine, Parents Magazine, Wall Street Journal, and broadcast and cable television news like NBC, CBS, Fox, MSNBC, and Telemundo. I'm almost done. If you joined us this morning, you know that Bruna is a yoga instructor. She has over 200 hours certified and is an avid outdoors lover. When she's not at work, she can be found kayaking or paddleboarding in the areas of Annapolis and Chesapeake Bay. Here you go, Bruna.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for being here this afternoon. We are in a breakout session, which is great because we have less people and we can do very interactive. I'm just going to share some latest and greatest that we have been doing to achieve earn media with RBFF. And I also would love to hear what you have done in your states and what your plans are, so we can kind of take this as a very conversational presentation, and I'm here to answer your questions and see what's coming next. So at RBFF, we work year over year with the national campaign for Take Me Fishing. We also have some strategies for media relations, and basically we do at least one FEM media trip. So we look behind and check for the trends for the upcoming year. So I just wanted to mention a little bit of what we're expecting for this and for the years ahead. So because of AI, we are seeing humanized relationships and even more the need of authentic and interactions. And we are focused on relationship building. So I heard a lot of people talking this morning that AI is taking over of everything. I like to think that AI is here to help us out, but the empathy and the relationship building, I don't think it will ever go away. Actually, the other way around. I think it's going to increase even more. And FEM trips are great for that. So AI to complement human expertise. Instead of creating content, you can use AI to create a structure of what you need in terms of planning, and then you can build in your own ideas. AI has been and is going to be helpful with media and content creator integration. Nowadays, it's very difficult for you to separate traditional media, the journalist, the reporter, and who is the content creator or who is the influencer. It's almost like a huge cloud. It's media, just like Shama was saying this morning. People are the media nowadays. And when you move into keep working with earned media, you need to take that in consideration. And more, we have been seeing PR focus with data-driven. Sometimes PR take your intuition a lot, but over time, and even more nowadays, it's very important for you to have like a a very trustable database with all your experience, all your numbers, so you can actually not even prove ROI, but also show the quality of the content that you're generating through earned media. DEI, it's everywhere, and the examples that I'm bringing for you today, it's focused on women participation in fishing and boating and raising their voices within the outdoors. And another thing that we have been seeing lately on our fam trips is that real-time connection. So the journalists that are traveling with us throughout the week, they are also at the same time posting on their channels, creating stories as they go, that sometimes you don't have control of that because it's happening as you are right there, not even seeing it. So there are some things that makes the logistics and the relationship throughout the week or throughout the time that you are with this media a little bit more interesting and tricky, honestly. So a little bit of shift in the world of earned media relations here. So when I was starting talking about fam trip, some people were like, what is fam? And I was like, okay, let's step back. It's basically saying a media trip. But fam, I highlighted some important adjectives of how you put together a fam trip for media. So it's a unique and immersive education-based opportunity. It's not free travel, as some people say. It's not providing an amazing and unforgettable memory. It's a unique because if you're just taking journalists to experience something that everybody else can experience, this is just an informative relation. You are actually creating a specific experience. So this specific journalist who writes for this specific media, it's going to create a unique story highlighting your key messages and everything else that you want to say. Allowing media representatives to connect with an experience, thereby enabling them to create more informed, accurate, and engaging content. And that's very crucial. When you have like paid content, you know exactly what is going to be out. When you work with media and your goals is earned media, you need to be responsible for the information that you're putting in front of the reporter. You need to be responsible to see if the numbers are accurate or not, because once it's out, there's no way back, right? And the fam trips are amazing for this because you can create a media pack before you engage these journalists and provide everything in advance. You are there with them, so you can correct any information on site, and you have an opportunity to create a relationship with them. So these images from our last fam trip. Last year, we took an amazing group of women to go fishing and boating in Montana, in Bozeman, Montana. It was a big group, diverse freelancers. Another interesting point that we have been seeing a lot, we are working more with freelancers, journalists, rather than focus on the outlets, because nowadays, and especially after COVID, you have somebody who can amplify and your target audience. And talk to different key messages and different story angles to different outlets. So it just broadens your opportunity to have your story out there. For the fam trips that we work, we have a PR approach that is more integrated. We just not only have in mind earned media stories. We also develop some brand visibility and reputation. We focus on our leadership visibility, so we always have somebody who is going to be there as a spokesperson that can talk about the organization and can talk about anything specific and any tricky questions that might raise up. We also use our fam trips opportunity to create our own content. Everybody knows that it's especially us with small budgets, it's very difficult to create engaging content with a low budget, especially video. So you're having an opportunity to have a photographer there or somebody there that it's also going to create content for you that you can utilize later on your social medias and all your other own media channels. So it's just like another way to kind of work with your budget to your advantage. And nowadays, we are also considering earned media, all the stories and all the posts that those media, those influencers, those content creators post on their social media channels. So it's clearly it's a gray line nowadays, and I already said that, but I loved what Shama mentioned, that we have like people being the media. We also take opportunity to create partnerships. So this fam trip in Montana, we had Sims partnering with us, and win-win situation. They provided us with some additional content for the media, and we also took all the journalists with us to see their factory, to talk with their leadership, to go to their flagship shop and learn more about their products specifically for women. And we also partnered with Old Town Kayaks, who provided for us a unique test drive with several different types of kayaks. It was an amazing experience, and it helped us to create this entire unique experience for journalists with a small budget. So, highly recommended working with partnerships. So I mentioned the integration approach that we had, and that's what we try to send out the message. You can have one main goal, but you can also touch base into other ideas through the same budget that you have. In the most interesting part, I think, I'm a conservation lover for the fam trip that we had last year. We're able to take those journalists to visit the Ennis National Fish Hatchery, together with the support of the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. And we also had the state agency right there with us on the trip with the journalists with us, sharing all the aspects of conservation of Montana, and just having the opportunity to talk more about their local work. So we target national media with a local perspective, and that's tons of more opportunities to work in conjunction with the state agents to have like a big win-win situation for you and for us as well. So those are some examples of earned media stories that we had out of the trip last year. We have several different angles. We had a story on CNN_ talking about the best fishing rods and poles for beginners, also with links to get your fishing license. Also, we've mentioned talking about why do you need a fishing license for conservation matters. We had stories on Field Magazine, Wide Open Spaces, talking about the relationship between mindfulness and fishing and meditation. And also the fact that the industry is coming together to welcome women to the sport. So different stories, different angles to different types of outlets. We also had an incredible amplification on social media. We had 2 influencers on site that were creating content for us, and that was just incredible to have all this buzz happening at the same time on social, sharing the experience with all of our target audience. So this campaign just won a Neptune Awards last week in Miami for Best PR Campaign. Thank you. We were all very happy because it touched base so many stakeholders in one action only, that it's a win not only for RBFF, but for the states, for the industry, for everybody. So we are very pleased with this award. So in the beginning, I was talking about the fam trips and the media days. So there's slightly difference. And this is a little tactical, but we wanted to provide this type of details for you. So we also work with media days. There are smaller and more informative experiences of something that already exists. So for example, RBFF has an alliance with Walt Disney World Resorts. If you want to go fishing and boating at Disney, you're gonna see TMF brand everywhere. And their PR team came to us one time and say, hey, we have this NFL star going into the property. He wants to go fishing and boating with his family. Let's take advantage of that. What can we do together? So we used an opportunity, having like something different in a property, but we were not creating an experience, right? We were just reporting something that already exists. So very small budget on that, basically partnerships. And we had several earned stories on Orlando Sentinel. It was covered by the Tampa Bay News. And we also had some stories generated at the Walt Disney World social media channels and at their blog as well, with huge audience that goes hand in hand with our audience. So basically, this is a high-level journey of what do we all do to have a successful fam trip. It takes a lot of effort, a lot of logistics, a lot of time to put together the vacation, what some people like to call, and it's not. It's a lot of work, a lot of preparation, but it's totally worth it. So usually we take our time to do our media outreach, which is basically we see who would you like to invite. We separate these people into tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, who we're going to invite, who is going to come, who is not coming, who else can we invite. So it takes between 1 and 2 months for you to reach out to all the media that you would like to bring, and I'm coming, I'm not, but I can recommend somebody to come. So there's a lot of casting process within that. And then we prepare a media kit, as I mentioned, very important. All of our key messages, all the leadership's bios and photos, all of our social media handles, hashtags, our contacts, all the details of the trip, fact sheet with all the information about RBFF, all kind of information that you can give to the journalist in advance, that you can use the time that you're going to be there with him, developing this relationship instead of just passing along information, right? And also, that's a great opportunity for you to share press releases or other news that you already had, so they can also amplify this message potentially. Then, pre-experience, you do a lot of follow-ups, we prepare social media channels, we do the teaser, we promote with them, and during the trip is when you are fully engaged and you need to be 100% present because you are hosting these people, and if something goes wrong and they are not comfortable with a situation, you need to be fast and quick to sort it out right there. And with social media, it makes even more complicated things. I had a situation that a journalist was not very happy in the morning, and in the afternoon I saw that she already posted on her X account about the experience, and we're like, okay, how are we going to navigate that? So it's just a lot of presence, and the better relationship that you develop with these people, the better they will respect you and your brand and your space, especially on their social media channels. So then, trip went amazing. What do we do next? We have amazing social coverage, and remember, we had our photographer on site, so we can keep promoting this through our own media channels, create unique stories, and then we are going to be following up with this media who attended the trip to see what story you're gonna write. Do you need any more information from us? Anything that we can support them and buzz them a little bit without buzzing too much, because you don't have a contract, you don't have an agreement, it's a verbal understanding, but you can't also just let go or just call the journalist every day, like, are you gonna write this story or not? So it's very fine line. But then when you have those beautiful, unique stories and you are able to have all your key messages in front of the target audience, you say cheers, you next, and up to the next. So that's what I had to bring for you. I brought a little bit of static information to see if I sparkle any questions that you have on your day-to-day. Also welcome, I'm happy to talk more about other experience that we've done in the past. I have some images here of previous fam trips that we did in Seattle, another one at Disney, one in Orlando. It has been really generating amazing results for us without being paid media, which generates which helps to work on our reputation and credibility, not only of our brand but also our leadership. So I highly encourage you to take advantage of this. And that's what I have for you guys today. Thank you. Any questions?
This is number 7. Does it matter which side? Okay.
Hi, thank you so much for that presentation. I actually have 2 questions. The first one is, when you plan an RBFF fam trip, do you plan them with state agencies?
On the planning, yes and no. I mean, we don't involve everybody and say, okay, we're going to work with you or with that. First, we try to see what do we want to achieve. For example, we are now working with trying to explain the facility that you have to go fishing and boating if you live in urban areas, right? So we're thinking about which state are we going to work with that can promote all that different types of experience, but also in an urban environment, targeting families. And then once we have a location set, we reach out to the states and say, hey, we are planning to bring some journalists to your state. Would you like to collaborate with us? Do you have interest in participate? Do you want to have somebody on site to talk about your conservation efforts? So it's part of the pre-process, but I would say like a step 2 based on our goals in terms of the consumer audience that we have in mind.
And then that was great. That spurred so many more questions, but I'll hold them. My original second question was, when you go on these trips, are you hiring experts to take the journalists on these trips, or are staff from RBFF being the experts, like charter captains?
So yes and yes. So what we do, we go like in a handful of us at RBFF, we go to make sure that we are covering all those areas. So for example, we have somebody from our social media team there. We have either Stephanie or Dave as a leadership, have myself working with the journalists on site. And we also work with our PR agency that they help us with all the logistics. But for example, before we go into a trip, we select the captains, we talk with with all the companies that we have local. We take a lot of advice from the state agency. That's an area that they help us a lot, like who are we going to take those journalists to go fishing? Who is the best guides that we can take? And even like the location, the timing, this is not a good time for fishing, this is going to be more complicated. So this logistics of the experience, we depend and we love to have the state's involvement as we can provide the best experience for them.
Hi, thank you for your presentation. I was sorry to miss the first part. I'll have to get a copy of it, but did you put a value, or did you share a value of the media coverage that you got, or maybe a reach number?
I don't have on top of my mind, but I'm happy to share with you the add value, impressions, and reach that we had.
Great.
Yes,
That would be appreciated. And then
absolutely.
did you use a variety of media? I mean, did you invite a magazine, newspaper, everybody? Variety.
Yes, and
Okay,
that's something that
Thank
I was talking nowadays, and especially after COVID, we have been working a lot with freelancers. So we are targeting the person, and this particular writer, reporter writes for the New York Times, Outside Magazine, for like a different outlets. That way we can amplify and make it broader our reach. And honestly, it's how we are seeing things moving along. People working with people. It's beautiful to see.
In the R3 National Plan, hunting and shooting sports, we're using this idea because they have such negative perceptions, and that, you know, they say we need to get in bed with the media and make sure that we're educating the media, and the outdoor writers have gone the way of the dodo bird, and there's, you know, the people out there now maybe are not even that familiar with outdoor. It's just part of their beat now, if they still call them beats, or their assignments. And so I had never even thought about doing it for fishing and boating, and I think that's a great idea. Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you.
Great.
Hey, so I caught the tail end of that, but I was going to ask you, and you alluded to earned media having more credibility than paid media. Why?
Because you're giving your opinion. I'm not paying to have my key message and saying go fishing because fishing is fun. The journalist, you are describing your experience, you're giving your opinion. I went fishing, I took my kids, they had a blast, and it was a fun day. There's way more credibility when you hear from a journalist that is providing his own point of view and describing his own experience instead of just paying like an ad to say, let's go take your family fishing. It's more personable. There's more credibility. It's, again, people being the media. So.
Right, thanks.
All right. A couple more questions. How far out is RBFF planning fam trips? Do you do multiple trips in a year? And what is the best approach for state agencies to reach out to RBFF to share their interests in potentially partnering on a fam trip?
What state are you representing?
Non-disclosed.
I was like, it looks like we already have a partnership here.
Florida.
Yay! Well, actually, we might be coming to you.
We'd love to have you.
Oh, that's wonderful to hear. Fantastic. So we start planning a year almost in advance, right? We just finished our planning, the round 2 of our planning for the next fiscal year. And we are right now, at this very moment, narrowing down the locations to start having some conversations and moving ahead with all the fam trips that we're going to do. We are planning to have 2 fam trips this year. And one of them came through an opportunity that was created through Volva Penta. They had a fam trip last year, and just for women, and they invited us to go on their trip to talk about our campaign and what we are doing to welcome women in the water. And our Senior Marketing Director of Marketing Communications, Rachel Piacenza, went on that trip, gave them a presentation, and they were like, oh, let's work again together next year. So we are narrowing down, I believe, Tampa with them, because they have like a selection of boats over there that they can bring along for us. And we are also trying to focus on other states with the message of urban fishing for multicultural young families. So we're planning one trip between spring and summer, between May and June, and then the trip in Florida between August and September. So the best way to approach us, if you have any interest in doing this with us, is call me, get my information. Always welcome to also just chat and share ideas. And I answered the 3 questions.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, we're coming.
Over here, Bruna. You might not be able to see me, but we're over here.
Yeah, I was like, this is right. He's like right on my.
You can't see me. Bruna, I'm right here.
Oh, I can
very,
now.
very nice. I have a question.
Sure.
If we were to do this, reporters sometimes like to ask controversial type questions. Is it better to anticipate that in your pre-information, even if you don't give it to them, but you know what you're going to say? Because they might come up with something, and if you're not ready, it gets published and it's not good. You can't stop them from putting stuff out there that you might not want to. So how do you handle that?
So that is part of our, what we call crisis management situation. So exactly what you said, we tried to avoid any topic, unwanted topics. So the same way that we create a media kit, we also create a briefing and a media package to our leadership and to ourselves. And this work is made in conjunction with different minds, what is going on with the industry, or topics that we are not supposed to talk about. And not even coming up with the topics, but also with the answers in advance, in case the question pops up during the trip. I mean, for us, it's not that complicated because we don't work and we don't deal directly any type of advocacy. So our answer is right there for some of the controversial things that are popping out. But yes, we work in advance and we create like a full Q&A that we share and discuss with our leadership, see if we are all aligned. And then we also have some pre-answers and pre-written answers that in case something pops out during a trip and we don't have an answer, we just say something that we can gain some time to come back and see how we are going to respond directly to these journalists. We avoid and we have like a media training with everybody who participates on the trip to don't say anything that you're not sure. Don't give any information without approving with the team. Even like you're developing relationships, but be careful of being too personal or giving too much your opinion because you're still getting to know the person at the other side, right? So that's one of the big items that we work in advance of these trips, 100%. Question?
Bruna, I think a lot of it too, I'm over here. I think a lot of it too is the research that you guys do in advance on who is being invited. You've read the articles, you know their tone of voice, you typically know opinions. You can't always. But if you want to talk a little bit about the research you guys do before.
Yeah, thank you for the reminder. That part that I mentioned that it takes between 2 and 3 months, like the casting thing, we also have this in consideration. We are not going to invite the journalists that well known to be controversial or to be like on top of brands. We do a very thorough selection of people who want to collaborate with us, and usually it's difficult to say like it's always like that, but usually the journalists who accept an invitation like that, they are not there to cause any troubles. Let's put it that way. But yes, we do a very thorough survey, see with who are we talking, we check all their social channels, see what kind of things are they saying out there that they are not writing on their stories, for example, especially nowadays with all the craziness that it's happening in the world. So yes, that's a big part of the process as well. Thank you, Rachel, for the reminder of that one. Any other questions? Well, I'm here until Thursday. If you have any questions, if some idea pops up after, just come along, talk to me. Florida, we have a lot to talk. Thank you so much. Enjoy your afternoon.